We own over 200 multiplayer games. We just are continually getting them for the channel, but the amount of those that we have actually fully completed can be narrowed down to games that we really enjoyed and games that we reviewed. So let's talk about some of those games that we really enjoyed and weren't necessarily just trying to beat so that we could release a review to you guys. Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons is a game we started because we wanted to include it in a list of games under $15. And this game is only 3 hours long, so I guess that's another reason some of these games have been completed, is because they are fairly short. But this one packs a really powerful story. This is probably one of the only games we've ever recommended to play for the story rather than for the gameplay, because we are bigger fans of gameplay. But Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons has a fantastic gripping story, and especially if you pick up the remake, you're gonna really enjoy that with the updated graphics and music. This game has you playing as two brothers who set out on a journey to rescue a medicinal plant that can save their father from death. And along this journey, you're gonna have to face off against some ogres. You're gonna have to make your way through a snowy mountain and fight a crazy spider. You're gonna have to make your way through the land of the giants. Originally, you controlled both characters at once, and that's what made it unique. But now in co-op, each of you gets to control one of these characters, so you're relying more on that story and the fun little things that you do as you're trying to you're trying to scare, that's the word I'm looking for. You're trying to scare off wolves that want to attack you guys. And it's just a fantastic 3-hour journey that you can play together and really get hit in the feels. Now let's talk about something a little bit more hectic. Tools Up is not nearly as hectic and complicated and hard as Overcooked, but it is that same style of game. So we picked this one up after really enjoying Overcooked, but we never were able to beat Overcooked because it was too hard. It was a lot of fun, but it was too hard for us. So we picked up Tools Up because it looked like fun. Carly really wanted it. So we started playing this one, and it has you remodeling homes. So you're going to be tearing out wallpaper. You're going to be ripping up flooring. You're going to be putting in new carpet. You're going to be painting the walls. You're going to be cleaning up trash and tripping over glue. It's just a whole bunch of different little things that are involved with remodeling this house here. We played this one with my brother and sister-in-law and their kid and had a ton of fun with it. We played it together and had a ton of fun with it. This one is a lot easier to play than Overcooked, which is what really appealed to us, and it's only around 3 hours long to beat. But it was a fantastic 3 hours that we really enjoyed and wished there was more of. Now from that, I want to move on to something that is a little bit more based in the game mechanics rather than the story. Biped was an absolutely fantastic journey that we played together. This game has you playing as these two cute, adorable robots, and I've told the story multiple times on the channel of how when we first started playing, I found the controls a little tricky because you basically have to control one foot then the other of your robot with the two different joysticks, and it was kind of like learning to walk. So it took me, a little bit at the beginning of the game to really get used to that, but then I found it really enjoyable. So you play as these two robots, so you control their feet to move them along. You can even glide along the floor, and you can like step on levers, you can grab onto things with your feet and swing them about and whack your co-op partner or break them to get the little collectibles that are inside. It's a really fantastic journey, and this one has a fairly large emphasis on co-op, which is lacking in a lot of games out there. So one thing that I particularly remember was when we had to cross like different bridges or something that would only move when we stepped. So you would step, but you would have to time your steps so that one of you was stepping, the pink robot was stepping on the pink steps and the blue robot was stepping on the blue steps so that the thing would actually move. Otherwise it like might drop you onto the ground, right? And they got really creative with this where they had like spiraling ones and moving ones and all sorts of things. There's a lot of different buttons to press. There's a lot of really cool mechanics. We are big fans of any time a game has us connected together by a string, swinging across things and using like our momentum to go and grab something and then swing the other person. And this one has that. Brothers also had that, but this one has a larger portion of it. It's also just a really adorable looking game. Very cute. Story is there, but it's not a huge part of this. This one is more for those game mechanics and just cute fun together. Again, I think this one runs around 3 hours, which might be why we finished it, but we loved every little bit of it. Now, let's go back on a journey many years ago before we actually started the channel. The game, or one of the games that actually inspired us to create this co-op based YouTube channel where we're helping you find games all the time. Unravel 2. This is a 2D platformer that is eerie, as my brother described it, zen. This one has you playing as these little yarn characters who are connected together by a little string of yarn, and you're going along platforming through the forest and through houses and all of these different areas. I honestly have no clue what the story is. But there's eerie stuff going on in the background that really makes it very atmospheric. And what I really enjoyed is how tight and wonderful the platforming is and the puzzles that you have to solve together. There is a lot of working together in this one. You have to reel each other up. You have to let the other player go swing to a different area and then they can pull you up. One of you might have to go push something while the other does something else. There's a lot of cooperative aspects in this one where you get to work together, and there's just fantastic platforming where you get to swing and get that feeling of feeling like Spider-Man because you're shooting out a rope and swinging on a hook. You're running from a turkey. I don't know. This one was a really wild experience, and I really want to go back and play it again. I would have so much fun if we just had the time. According to How Long to Beat, it takes around 5 to 7 hours. I don't know how long we played it for, but there you go. I want to step away from puzzle games for a second and take you guys on a Metroidvania journey. So, Curse of the Sea Rats. Now, I will go ahead and say at the beginning here that we did not technically finish this one because we played a pre-release version and couldn't actually beat like the last little level, so we were really close to beating it, but didn't quite. But we would have, because we were having a ton of fun. Now, when we played, there was some bugs. If you go check out our review, that was our big problem, is there were a lot of bugs. It was a little bit challenging at the beginning and got a little easier as you went along, but I really enjoyed this one. So this game has you playing as some humans that were turned into rats, and you're going on a journey to fight against the evil witch sorceress Flora Byrne. So this one has a good amount of story mixed in with the gameplay elements, but honestly, the gameplay is what really brought us in. This, I think, might have been the first time I ever played a Metroidvania, and I had so much fun with it. Now, what makes a Metroidvania, at least to my knowledge, like I said, this was one of the first ones I ever played, is all of these different sprouting pathways that you can go and explore. And sometimes, or maybe a lot of times, you're gonna run into an area you can't actually make it past because you need to get an ability later on. So you go and get that ability, then you can come back and explore even more. And I just had so much fun with this one, getting the double jump ability and all of the other different little things that allowed you to access further parts of the map and explore more of it, whether it was completing a quest for somebody or gaining a new ability. There's also a fantastic skill tree that we had a lot of fun enjoying. It may not be the most in depth, but we had a lot of fun scrolling through the skill tree with each of the different characters. There's 4 characters to play as, and each of them have different skills. One of them can turn invisible. Another one is able to heal themselves, which we found incredibly helpful because we're just not good at games and we're struggling a little bit here and there. The platforming on this is really crisp. Fighting the enemies was a really fun time. The boss fights are fantastic and challenging. It's really just a rewarding experience as long as they've actually removed all of the bugs in this one. And I think this is supposed to be like a 7 to 12 hour journey. I think we spent more time on it because we had to keep restarting because of bugs, but I would have finished this game if it wasn't for the bugs at the time. Now let's move to something a lot shorter, and by a lot I mean like an hour long. This game is incredibly short, but it is so good and we wanted it to keep going. Tied Together. This is a party game / co-op game. So we played it with 2 players, and it is an absolute blast. You are playing as these little monsters, aliens, I don't know, that are chained together. They got these collars on, they've got a chain between them, and you have to do all of the platforming stages connected together, and there's only so much give in between your chains there, so you can only get so far apart, and if one of you messes up the jump, the other gets pulled down and you're gonna screw it up. And it's just so much fun, but the levels are so incredibly short that it doesn't get that infuriating. In fact, it's just hilarious. So you can beat one of these levels in like 30 seconds. There's some that are like 15 seconds long once you actually beat them, but you're gonna be dying and messing up and screwing up along the way, and it is absolutely hilarious. We laughed so hard, we had so much fun. It didn't get super infuriating really at all. It's split up into a 2-player section and a 3 to 4 player section that, you know, obviously are set up to work differently depending on how many people you have. And so we ended up playing the 3 to 4 player section with my brother. We beat it together. We had so much fun. He was laughing, we were laughing. We played it with my brother-in-law and his wife. We played it with my other siblings at a party night. This one may be incredibly short, but we have played it so many times with so many different people, and it is so fun every time because everybody is laughing. It's so hilarious. Nobody knows what they're doing. It's a challenge, but it's also short and sweet once you actually beat the level. Pick it up on sale for like $2 and you'll have a blast. Now, here's something a little longer. It Takes Two. If you haven't heard about this game and you're watching our channel, well, welcome to the best game ever to play together. So It Takes Two is around a 10-hour game, and it has you playing as this couple who are on the verge of divorce, and you go on a journey to learn about each other and learn whether you can make this marriage actually work or not. You're turned into these little toys by your daughter's tears. It's kind of like Honey, I Shrunk the Kids type thing, but with magic tears. Anyway, you play as these toys, and this game introduces so many fun and different game mechanics to enjoy, and none of them are there for quite long enough, but that also means that they never overstay their welcome. So I think at the beginning of the game, one of you gets like a hammerhead and one of you gets this set of nails that you can shoot. So you get to shoot out the nails, and the other person can use them to platform with the hammer, and you can also like hammer nails in and stuff. That's a really fun game mechanic. Later on, you get magnets that allow you to shoot across different places. One of you gets like a gel gun that shoots this flammable jelly, and the other has the igniter that you get to shoot it with and blow it up, and you get to blow up bees with it. The game has some fantastic boss fights. You get to fight your vacuum, you get to fight a bee, you get to fight all of these wonderful bosses that I don't want to spoil for you. This one does have a very good story. It has a little bit too much of Dr. Hakim, seems to be most people's opinion. I know we got sick of him a little bit. I know like every review I've watched, everybody's like, Dr. Hakim was too much, but you know, it's enjoyable. There's a lot of cutscenes to enjoy. There's a fun story to follow along with, and the gameplay is absolutely fantastic. I didn't mention that the main portion of the game is a 3D platformer, but along with that, you also get to try a whole bunch of different genres, from a 2D fighter to a top-down dungeon crawler type game. And just go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. Kirby and the Forgotten Land is a little bit of a controversial one for us. This is an absolutely fantastic game that feels a little bit like that Mario Odyssey, but with better co-op. However, the co-op still isn't fantastic, at least according to us. If you really both like being involved, then this isn't necessarily the best co-op game, but we did play the majority of it in co-op and have a lot of fun. So the problem is that one of you will play as Kirby and the other will play as Waddle Dee, I think is what it's called. And Waddle Dee doesn't have all of the power-ups and the abilities that Kirby has. So it's a side character that gets to have fun and come along the journey, but doesn't get to have as much fun as Kirby. Regardless, we still had so much fun playing through this game, and Kirby has some fantastic abilities that allow him to like suck in a car or a vending machine or a traffic cone and get abilities from them. He also is able to take on the abilities of enemies that he swallows. It's a really fantastic journey that is very well done. However, there are a lot of levels in it, some side levels that are not co-op compatible, so that's really sad. But I'd be remiss if I didn't mention how much we did enjoy playing this game together, despite the co-op not being perfect, because one of you just is not as cool as the other, and we had to swap off who was playing as Kirby and who was playing as Waddle Dee. I believe Kirby and the Forgotten Land is around a 10-hour game. This next game is actually your favorite. I want you to go ahead and join our Discord at the top link in the description and come tell us what your favorite game is. We're trying to build a community of people who love couch co-op games. So go ahead, join the Discord, and let us know what your favorite game that you have beat together is. We cannot wait to see you over there. Let's continue. Now back to the puzzles. Escape Academy was enthralling. It was really enjoyable and we loved playing through it. So this game is an escape room digitally in video game form, and you can play it together in split screen and both explore and find the clues and even like both look at a different screen to help you figure out what needs to be done. Like, here's the code that you need to enter in that lock you're looking at right there. It is a really fun time that has some fantastic puzzles that are really enjoyable to solve. If you love going to real life escape rooms, then this is a fantastic time where nothing's sticky, nothing's weird, there's nothing in the rooms that is important that you can't like interact with and pay attention to. Like, they make it fairly obvious what's important to look at and what you can actually interact with, which is really cool. It has a little bit of a story as you start off in an escape academy, learning how to escape, and eventually you might end up doing like some actual escape things where you have to escape in real life or you might die. So that's a pretty cool story aspect, but mostly it's just really cool, fun puzzles to solve together to escape a room in the allotted amount of time. This one I believe is around 5+ hours, and they've also got a couple of DLCs, and we booted up one of them a month or two ago and had so much fun with it. It was fantastic and just gave us that joy of solving those puzzles again. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is a game we bought on day of release because we wanted to talk about it, we wanted to review it, but we just ended up enjoying it so much and wanted to relieve some of the pressure, so we ended up not even reviewing the game. But we had a lot of fun with this one. We both have a lot of nostalgia around the new Super Mario Bros. Wii game, so that may have played into it a little bit, but I really feel like this is a fantastic 2D platformer to play with multiple people. And I know we had a lot of fun being able to see how difficult the levels were going to be. That really helped us to know whether we should give up and move on to a different level when we were, at a 5-star level that we were struggling with. We're like, okay, we can move on, we can play a different level. And there's a lot of different options for if you're going to play this or not. And like I said, those difficulty things can help you if you're playing with a kid. Maybe I shouldn't play this level with them, let's move on and do another one. The Wonder Stars, or whatever they're called, Wonder Flowers, the Wonder Flowers are really fun. They give a really unique twist to the game when you get to play as a Goomba or run on top of rhinos or whatever other thing that it has you doing, whether, if you're playing as Goop. It's a lot of fun. There's a little bit of a twist with the Wonder Flowers, and it's just a fantastic 2D platformer to play together. Again, like Kirby and the Forgotten Land, I think this one sits around 10 hours to beat. If you are looking for something a little bit more into the action RPG, then Nobody Saves the World is your game. This, I think, is the longest game on this list. So Nobody Saves the World is a game where you play as Nobody who finds a wand. It allows him to transform into a couple of different characters, like a mouse and an archer, and as you go along the journey, you're able to actually level up your mouse and your archer, and that allows you to unlock more characters that you can transform into. You can transform into a necromancer, into a dragon, eventually into a bodybuilder, into a magician, all of these different characters that you get to transform into and increase their skills and customize them, and eventually you get get to mix them together into a hodgepodge to make your perfect character. The dungeons are super fun to explore and go into, and the story in this game is actually pretty good. It has you trying to find the wizard Nostramagus, I don't know how to say his name, but he's gone missing. Calamity is overtaking the world. Somebody needs to stop it. You're trying to find the wizard to hopefully do that, and you're just a nobody. And there's little aliens that are pretending to be humans, and there's fun little side quests and so many secrets to find in the world. This one is an absolutely fantastic adventure that we've been wanting to go back and play through again, and hopefully someday we'll release a review, because we loved this game and I recorded footage and it was corrupted, so I never got a review out. I don't know if I said how long this one is to beat, so I think it was around 18 hours or so. WarioWare Get It Together is another short game. If I recall, I believe it's around 3 hours, but we had so much fun with this one. Now, this one isn't all about the co-op. It's more about just the fun little things and quick decisions. It is filled with all of these little micro games, which are kind of like mini games, but they're so much shorter. They last only a couple of seconds. Maybe it's 5 seconds, maybe it's 15 seconds, and you're just shown this image and you've got to figure out what to do. Whether you're shown somebody's finger and a big old nostril, you got to shove that finger in the nostril so that he starts picking his nose. They're puzzles like that you got to figure out within a very short time limit what it is you're supposed to do, and it allows you to play together. And we had so much fun playing through this one. There's a little bit of a story, not particularly important. The mini games or the micro games are the fun part, and there are so many of them that are just so fun to figure out. What do I need to do here in an instant? So had a lot of fun with that one, but again, a really short game. Ember Knights we have not beat, but we have played for around 20 hours or so and are on like the very last level, and we're just not good enough to beat it. But this game is so good. Play Ember Knights. You play as these little Ember Knights, and you can unlock all sorts of different weapons to use. You can unlock all sorts of different magic abilities to equip. It is a roguelike game where you have to play through the game, all of these five different worlds in order to make it to the end. And like I said, we just haven't managed to beat the very last boss in the game, because if you die along your journey, then you're dead and you have to start over fighting through all 5 worlds again. But it is so good, and if you have the grit to push through, this one is worth it. We would have beat it if we could have beat it, but we just have not got the skill. I'll put 2 other games on here as some honorable mentions. Stardew Valley, we have over 60 hours in together. I do not know if this game has an end, and we haven't played it in a little while, but it is absolutely fantastic. So fun to play together. It's a farming simulator with a lot of community involvement and places to explore and caving and fishing. So many different things. So fun. And the second one is Don't Starve Together. We've had a lot of fun playing this one. It's another game that we have so many hours in and haven't beat, because I don't know if there's an end, but also we keep dying, but we just keep going back to it because it is a ton of fun. It is a survival game that is kind of permadeath, though you can disable that if you want to so that you can keep progressing. But there's fun bosses that come with every single season. You have to try not to starve. You have to try to stay sane and stave off insanity. You have to keep track of your health and build things and upgrade gear. Fantastic game. This video on screen right now is going to show you some of the best games we have played from game demos. These all have free game demos that you can go ahead and try before you even buy the game. So click on this video to hear our thoughts and figure out what games you can try for free right now. I cannot wait to see you over there. We love you guys. Y'all are awesome.